What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to talk about why tomorrow is going to be very, very interesting, especially as we see a big reaction to Nvidia's earnings. And also what's going on with the share price of Tesla right now, as we're looking very, very lackluster compared to the markets with more bad news coming out. Just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30, not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. The offer ends very soon at the end of March. Anyways, let's talk about Tesla. So, unfortunately for Tesla, we're looking very lackluster. We're down 1.2%, despite the fact that SPY, the QQQ, and the markets are trying to rally. I was correct with the market bouncing, and that's what we're seeing so far. However, Tesla's a little bit weak with more bad news that's coming out. So the hope for Tesla to balance, or at least try to do that now, comes from Nvidia. Keep in mind they announced their earnings at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and at 5 p.m. they're going to be announcing their earnings call. We're going to have their conference call, which is when they're going to give us more insights about their products and other things like that. So overall, the majority of investors are very optimistic for Nvidia. We'll have to see how it goes, so be very, very patient. I also want to add that as far as the market's going, there's been a lot of talk about how Tesla sales are continuing to decline. We're seeing a lot of criticism of them. We're seeing their sales declining in China and also in the EU. So not the best of news for them, seeing the European sales just continuing to fall. On top of this, there's more bad news that's come out. Analysts are expecting about 359,000 deliveries for Q1 of 2025. That's a big decline compared to what we saw previously. That would be down 7% year over year and a 27% decrease compared to what we saw quarter over quarter. Now, what else is worth noting about this is that January is typically pivotal for their sales, and January is going to be very weak. So we'll have to see how February and March end up looking. I think the February sales should be coming out very soon, at least registrations in China and the European numbers. If February is weak as well for Tesla, it's going to be a bad sign. And then we also have March, which is like the last sign of hope for deliveries. Unfortunately, things are looking very weak. So Tesla's just shuffling between support around this 295 area, a little bit under that. And then we have resistance near the trend line, which is just under 305. So we're kind of stuck in that range. We're basically just shuffling near 300 right now. So keep in mind, it's actually like relatively weak. And there's not really a whole lot going on with it, right? We basically dipped all the way down to like 295. We're trying to rebound to 302. And we're just trading sideways for now. Now, that's not a good sign considering that the market's trying to push and Tesla's a little bit lackluster. We're also doing a poor job at holding above our key trend line right over here. So I would like to see a bounce here before it continues to fall more, but that's not even guaranteed sometimes. What I think is going to happen is this. We're going to dump, guys, to fill this gap, or at least start to fill this gap. 270 to 250 is coming. I'm quite confident about that at this point. That's quite a distance away, but I do think we're going to eventually dump there. I don't know if we're going to see a bounce first with Nvidia's earnings and then we dump to fill that gap like this, um, or if we're about to not even get much of a bounce. Because what if Nvidia does not even help much? You know, what if we get just a temporary move up and then we just dump from here to start dipping to fill this gap? Either way, I expect us to dip towards 250 to 270 for Tesla. I don't know if we're going to get a temporary bounce. That could happen with Nvidia if Nvidia is very resilient and helps this thing rebound a little bit. It's a possibility. Nvidia could help the market push, including Tesla. But even if that happens, I just see it as another potential opportunity, however you want to look at it. And there's going to be more downside coming, at least nonetheless. Okay, so honestly, guys, I hate to sound pessimistic when I say that, but that's the reality about Tesla. It is still looking bearish. Might be a small bounce with Nvidia, but then the downside still remains. For other tickers, we're actually going to look at Nvidia real quick, and I'll talk about the rest of the market. So Nvidia is looking promising. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders like pattern that's still developing. If 126 fails, we're looking for a dump, and as long as we're above this, we're looking bullish. Right now, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to about 133 to retest our key 50 EMA. But it's doing a good job at holding up, so keep that in mind. On SPY, okay, the 4 hour is looking bullish. We have this very, very nice looking falling wedge that's been developing. If we could break past 599.3, I'm looking for a bigger push for 601. If we lose 594, look for 590, and losing that takes us down to about that gap fill for 584. We look bullish. We're trying to break out of this wedge. So for now, as of right now, as we approach Nvidia's earnings, we're looking bullish. Will this move last? It depends on Nvidia's earnings, but we are looking a bit more bullish right now. We could be trying to get to the 600s. Same thing with the QQQ. If we break 519, I'm looking for essentially 522. I see potential in this. For the Russell 2000, there's a falling wedge. So we'll see if we break past 219 to 220. Overall, the 4 hour has potential. ES is on a bit of a bounce right now, a break from this wedge. Watch 6023 is our resistance. If that breaks, we'll go even higher. As long as you don't lose like 6,000 or at least like 5980, I think we're going to be fine. Looks a little bullish for the time being. We have NQ trying to push higher for essentially 21,486. There's most definitely potential in this chart to go higher as long as we don't lose 21,200. For the rest of these, we have Bitcoin, which is kind of flat right now. I have to see if 85,000 holds. As long as it does, we could be pushing higher. For Nvidia, I like I said before, 133 is likely coming. That's a good sign. Tesla's going to continue to chop around, and it could be making a big move after Nvidia's earnings, but like I said before, I am still bearish. I'm net bearish for now. Unfortunately, the share price is still lackluster. Apple's on a bit of a downtrend. We're looking for 242 as our main support. If that holds us, this could try to get back up to 245. If 242 fails, though, we're looking for 240, then 238 as our targets. So just keep that in mind. For other tickers out there, we have Coinbase. Coinbase is trying to rebound right here. We're looking for essentially 218 to 220 is our potential target, and we'll see if we reject or not. But there is some upside potential there. For Amazon, we have 217.5 and eventually 220 is our targets. If we lose 212, we're looking for a dip, but this does look a little bit more bullish because we did reclaim 215, which is a very, very good sign so far. For Meta, I'm seeing essentially the same thing. We're looking a bit more bullish, break 680, then we're looking for 691 as our target. Microsoft is looking pretty good. We're trying to break out of this falling wedge, so I could be looking for an attempt for 405 soon. So far, so good. And then last but not least, we have Google, which is kind of lackluster. We are very flat. We're completely flat right now. It's just waiting for Nvidia's earnings. So there's not much going on. The VIX is looking bearish, which is a good sign for the markets. If we lose 17.92, I do think the VIX dumps towards 17 flat. So we'll see about that. And for now, like I said, the bulls have a bigger edge, at least in the market for the time being. Tesla has lots of bad news about their sales and such. That's why it's a little bit lackluster. I want to see if we could try to get back above this trend line, which is going to be around like the 305 area. And like I said before, it depends on Nvidia's earnings, whether we get a bounce or not. I would like to see that. I'm very hopeful, but we'll see just to be safe. But whether or not we get a bounce, it does not matter. I'm still net bearish on Tesla. We will eventually fall to the 270s and 250s later on anyways. All right, so we'll see if we get a bounce temporarily, depending on Nvidia's earnings. Tesla's a little bit lackluster, and we'll just be very patient for now. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a good one. I'll be back in a couple of hours for another update. Thank you, and peace out.